Awesome. So we are live now. I have made you host. Just make me back host, and we are good to go.
There you go.
Thanks.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, Susan. Oh, I thought that maybe that was like that
Good
half and half.
morning.
No, is that half and half you've got there? Oh, you're muted.
Fixing my coffee.
It is half and half. Good for you. It looked familiar. We had a near catastrophe at our house this morning. We were out.
Oh dear.
I always tell people if there's a hurricane coming, other people go around and get bottled water and toilet paper, and I go check half and half.
Half and half, yeah.
And coffee.
Well, if there's a hurricane coming, I plan to stay home during the storm in case there are any damage. Is there any damage? And then I'm leaving with my dogs and going for a 2-week vacation.
Good morning, Jutta and Melinda and Cindy. And we have someone named iPad. I'd love to put your name up there, or you can rename yourself.
Good morning, Russ.
Hi, Jutta. We love to use names here if possible. So I've got everyone's name, but there's one iPad. There you go. You're muted, but if you know how to rename it, go ahead.
Hey, Russ, you're going to have to quit having such interesting classes.
Wait till I tell that to my boss. They keep asking for more.
Oh, God, I won't get anything done.
Well, the one thing I haven't told them yet is that I may not be able to travel if I have to teach all the time. But I'm not traveling anywhere right now, so it's kind of a moot point.
I know, and we got to let you go to Portland so you can see that grandbaby.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking for though. Right now, we're still trying to figure it out because I think I figured out I'm going to get a limo from the airport to Lewiston because the price of rental cars is just through the roof. And I'm like,
also, I just read an article in Travel and Leisure that's posted that gas is going to be hard to find this summer not because of any gasoline shortages, but the truckers. There's a real shortage of people to drive the fuel to the gas stations. And so they said there could be, to be prepared, do not travel on empty, and gas prices are going to really spike. And there's going to be a lot of empty gas pumps.
So I have an advantage there.
So wise idea to take the limo.
I have two EVs, two electric vehicles. And I'm actually going to do a class on this. One's going to be on how to all about electric vehicles. I've owned a Nissan Leaf for almost 5 years, and I like it so much that I've bought a different one, and I'm going to sell it because it is a great around town car, but it only has a range of 70 miles, so you can't really travel with it. I mean, you can, but then you have to stop every hour to charge. Take you forever to get somewhere. I just bought a Chevy Bolt, and the Bolt has a range of 250 plus miles on a charge. And that gives me enough time to drive and stop and have a cup of coffee or eat and charge up and then keep on going. So I just did see the thing about gas prices. I thought, well, I'm not going to have to worry about that this year. Or availability. I mean, I still remember 1979. I got my first car in 1979. And it was a Honda Civic, so it didn't burn up a lot of gas, but I can remember waiting in gas lines. And I remember when one of my roommates, I was in a house with about 5 guys, and one of my roommates came home on a Saturday morning and said, "Hey, the station, over on such and such is open." And we all scrambled out and got in our cars and got in line to get gas because the stations weren't necessarily open. I can remember driving by a gas station, it was open, and I didn't need to fill it up, and I just pull in and top it off. So
Those were the good old Jimmy Carter days.
those were the days. And
Yeah.
anyway, I'm the next thing I'm going to put in is electricity. So in my car, you can get a Chevy Bolt now. I bought mine at half price, which is why I went out and bought it. I was thinking about it, and my brother-in-law bought one, and he came home and he showed me on his cars.com app on his phone that they were selling at half price. So within 2 weeks, I'd bought one. Good morning, Renee.
Why the big discount?
I bought a 2020, so they're trying to push the 2020s out the door so they can push the 2021s out the door so they can start selling 2022s. The automobile manufacturers are usually about 3 to 6 months ahead on models at least. And they've already released what's going to be in the 2022. And so, it was nice to see that.
Supposedly because of the chip shortage, there's a real shortage of new cars, which is why used car prices have punched up. And that's probably why the rental car business is in trouble, because they normally buy new cars for the fleet.
Yep.
And they got rid of a bunch during COVID. So they kind of got.
It's a perfect storm. Perfect storm. Yep. Good morning, everyone. I see Valentine, and I think I said Renee and Meg.
Good morning.
Leslie. Good to have everybody. Valentine, I think I've had you in a class before because I remember your name.
Yes, you have.
Excellent. Good to see you all this morning. We're going to be talking today about how to use various online sites and apps for planning travel. We are welcoming Michael, our TA support here, who has put something nice in the chat, which is his name and how to get a recording. So you'll hear that from me later. And we also are live streaming this class today. Yesterday, people were putting in the chat where they hope to travel to. And a bunch of you were in that class yesterday morning, maybe, but go ahead. If you weren't, whether you were in the class or not, just put in the chat. Let's say today, not where you want to go, which is your destination, but your biggest challenge to travel this year. Okay. So, and pandemic is a valid answer. Your biggest challenge to travel this year. And I am doing a whole series of lots of classes on travel and lots of new classes coming. And yesterday, you all gave me yet another new class idea. I'm usually a couple weeks out when I have an idea before I can get the class done on it. But I am researching where you find information. This is only pertinent to international travel. I think we all know the restrictions and questions about traveling within the United States. But trying to find where you can go is a challenge. And I have found some places that really keep their information up to date. I don't recommend to people to go to social media sites and assume that they're going to get the best information there. I say that because I'm a part of a whole lot of online Facebook groups about travel, including being the moderator of a group. And it's really easy for misinformation to spread and people to start arguing with one another. And the best way to do it is just to look, like if you want to know whether or not you can go to Spain this year, well, just go find out what Spain is saying. Don't go online and say this could happen. And somebody else says, well, that's not happening. Well, just post the official information. So I found some of those sites. We'll do that class soon. I'm just going to check a couple things you said here in the chat this morning before we get started. Renee's from Seattle. Cindy, her biggest concern is just staying safe. Yes, I can see that. Jutta is money. I can understand that. Susan has tentative plans to travel to Australia and New Zealand, but it depends on whether or not they open their borders to international travels. That is probably a very big question or barrier or issue for a lot of us. And Melinda says, you're lucky that you have a little grandson to visit. Okay, so you keep going to Michigan in the past year. That's great. I have the same thing with a grandson in Maine. Otherwise, the grandchildren are here, which I'm really glad for. And Valentine says, staying safe and gas prices money. Yes, I can see that. I will give a tip here. Amtrak prices are really good right now. My daughter came to visit us for about 10 days, and she took Amtrak, and she is going home from Washington to New York on the Acela for $62 one way. Now, that's usually cheaper than the regular coach price of an Amtrak, just any old Amtrak ticket. That's the Acela, which is like a 2-hour train ride from Washington to New York. So I'm advising people, keep an eye on Amtrak. They do sales. Amtrak is also very flexible when it comes to if you have to cancel plans, keeping your credit for you. So, of course, I'm personally a big train travel advocate. So it doesn't take much for me to advocate for using Amtrak. And there are also local rail systems that aren't Amtrak in the Washington, D.C. area besides Metro, which is not Amtrak. It's a subway. We do have the MARC. So there are lots of options. But check out Amtrak. Let me go ahead and do a screen share with you. Good to see everybody this morning. Hi, Abby. You just joined recently. Nice to have you with us. And people have been putting in the chat their biggest travel obstacles or any problems they're assuming with travel coming up this year. I'm going to do a screen share. This class is small enough that I'm happy today to just ask your questions while I'm giving presentations. Part of it, there's a little bit of a presentation in the beginning. We'll run through some slides, and then I'm going to actually show you some of these sites that I go to. And then I'm going to share with you my phone, because that's where I do a lot of work for travel plans, and then also keeping tabs. And I got some more. There's a couple more classes coming up. There's one just on how to use your phone to travel, and also at your request, I'm doing a class on how to use Airbnb, make reservations on Airbnb. One entire class on Airbnb. So let me share with you today. You should see something coming up here that says using online and mobile apps to plan travel. We got somebody seeing that.
Yes.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate that. Every once in a while, it won't share. I don't know why. I'm your guide, Russ Eanes. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia, and it really is a lovely day here. We had gentle rain yesterday. It cooled off a little bit. We had some unseasonably warm 80-degree days. I planted my garden over the weekend, and really hot days in early May isn't really great when you're just planting the garden. Today, it's going to be warm, but I've filled up my rain barrels, which is good. I'm a writer, a walker, and a cyclist. I formerly was a book publisher, and when I was a publisher, my favorite thing was to work with authors and help them shape their ideas into books. I am an avid traveler with 16 overseas trips in the last decade, and I should say that I love the energy I get and the wisdom I collect from working with older learners. That's why I'm now a full-time guide with Get Set Up. And Get Set Up helps you learn useful skills from people like you so you can do wonderful things. And today's skill we're going to be working on is how to use online and mobile apps to plan and keep track of your travel. We learn from each other. Ideally, we can see you and your cameras are on. You may request a recording after class. Email help@getsetup.io. And thankfully, our very helpful TA Michael has put that in the chat, so you can copy and paste that email address if you need it. If you are joining by live stream, and we are live streaming today, the best way to participate is to join us and to register for a class. And lastly, Get Set Up's not paid to promote any specific products. So if it looks like I'm promoting something today, it's because I think you need to know about it. Our agenda today, I'm going to give you some tips about online travel services for planning travel and making reservations. We're going to research some travel apps for the same services and others. So in other words, you can do it online from a computer, a laptop, or a desktop, and then show you the mobile versions of that. We'll look at some other useful apps for travel. I got a bunch of stuff that's fun on my phone that I use when I travel, like an altimeter. And not on the agenda is a class called When You Can Travel Where, but that's going to be a class. So look out for that one sometime late May. When You Can Travel Where, we'll be running that probably once every 2 to 3 weeks because, well, the landscape constantly changes. I will give you a list of these at the end in your class notes, so don't worry if you don't get them right now. Some of my online apps, these are online, I use on a laptop or desktop for travel. Airbnbs, where I do a lot of lodging. I use booking.com a lot. Booking.com doesn't just have hotels, it has guest apartments and guest houses overseas. Sometimes even has bed and breakfasts. And by the way, a lot of bed and breakfasts have now gone to Airbnb for all their lodging and hosting and reservations. I use Orbitz, and another place I'll show you is Scott's Cheap Flights. If you want to know when to find a cheap flight somewhere. Many of these sites are also available as apps for your phone. And some other apps that are good for travel that are on my phone, for example, and I'll show you some of these today, is Google Translate, Globe Convert, which is something you can use for converting everything from currency to distances or weights. So like, let's say you go to France and you notice that everything says 100 grams and you're like, wait a minute, what happened to pounds? Well, that's actually about a quarter pound. And it's a useful thing to know, a little over a quarter pound, but that's often, for example, in other countries, they use the metric system everywhere else. So you better figure that out, get some things in your head. You want to know what that 13 degrees Celsius is in Fahrenheit. This will help you. I have an altimeter, which besides giving you altitude, also can locate where you were, a particular place. INRIX or Waze for traffic. I use Yelp for restaurant recommendations. Actually, I use it more for menus. I talk to people about recommendations because a lot of online and social media things people can game that. So I kind of go by word of mouth. I like to see the menu. Another little useful app I have when I go to the ocean is one called Tides Near Me. I like to know when the high and low tide is. Hey, any of you folks that were with me yesterday talking about going to Lindisfarne or Iona, you got to know when the tides are. I'll show you some national train apps, not just Amtrak, but like if you're in Germany, you want to use Deutsche Bahn. There's an app for that. And I mentioned Amtrak and airline apps are very useful in many ways, not just making reservations, but keeping tabs of your reservations and your boarding passes, etc. And I use also Apple Wallet to keep boarding passes and tickets and things like that. So it's very useful. So let me stop this part here and actually go and show you some sites that I use. Okay, we're going to open Google Chrome here. Hopefully everybody's seeing Google Chrome. And let's go to Airbnb. And because I'm going to do a whole class on Airbnb, I won't show you this at length today because we're going to do a whole class on it. But just to give you an idea, many of you might be experienced Airbnb folks. That's great. Airbnb is a site that uses what I call, it's kind of a hybrid social media model for finding lodging. So you can sign up to be a host. You can also sign up to be a guest. And you generally need to log in from the start and have a membership. That's the best way. You create a profile for yourself. I clicked on log in and Chrome memorized my password, so pull it right up. I've got my profile here. What I like about it is it keeps a track of places I've been. So up in the upper right-hand corner here is this icon. I think you can hopefully all see that. Everybody see that? Someone nod your head. Good. That's where the information about my profile is kept. So there's some messages to me. Now, sometimes your host might message you. And that's where I often then switch to my phone. I'll show you that briefly on the phone. And again, we'll do this at length in Airbnb, but it's helpful. The host might say, here's, when are you checking in? You say, I'm coming in at 3:00 on Tuesday. I'll have the key in a lockbox. The number is code is this. That's the kind of thing it's helpful. Other notifications from Airbnb. What I like is there's these two things. There's trips, and these are trips that you can be planning for the future, or you can look for trips in the past. Why trips in the past? Well, sometimes I repeat where I'm going. In fact, I'm going, you can see I took a trip here to Harper's Ferry. I stayed in the Chickadee room at Harper's Ferry, bed and breakfast. And your stay at Brian and Kathleen's place. Oh, yeah, Harper's Ferry Guest House. Sorry, that's the name of it. And what's nice, if you don't know Airbnb, it has both geographic information and then host information. So if I just keep scrolling out, you can see where that place is. And this is where it is right here. I can get right down to the detail. And there it is on the corner of, well, I can't read the street. Let's zoom a little more. Jackson Street and Washington Street in Harper's Ferry. Be warned, that map is flat. Washington Street was a steep hill. I had to bike it. I discovered that there was a little more to this than just however I know Harper's Ferry, so I was sure when I booked it that I was going to have to climb a hill, and I did. So I wasn't surprised. But you might look at that and go, "Oh, that's cool. That's just a little. That's very near such and such." Well, there might be a hill there for all you know. But what's cool about Airbnb is you can just decide where you want to go. So I'll click on the icon. Where are you going? You put in a location. So I could say, I'll just put in here. I don't want to explore destinations. I want to say Pittsburgh.
Oh, Russ, let's go to Florence or something more.
All right. Let's get a little.
Come on.
Let's go to. We'll go to Siena. Okay, so now it's got all the. I look now. It says, "Did you mean Signal Mountain, Tennessee?" No, I didn't mean that. I meant Siena, in the province of Siena. So we'll click there. Now I've got to get a date. So let's just set a date off in the future. Probably a good time to go there, I would recommend, would be late September. We're going to go there the 21st, and I'm going to check out on the 24th. So I'm going to spend those days. And you can also, by the way, put on here you're flexible, and it'll just pull up a whole lot of dates for you. But chances are you're going to not be that flexible because you got to fly there. So that's going to be criteria. But I can put on here search. And it pulls them up two ways. Looks like it's searching by price. So these are lowest price to highest price. And then over here's a map. What I love about this is when I scroll over this here on the left, it highlights it here on the map. You see that little black 60 popped up. The other thing you can do, and this is what I've done a lot in the past, is you can scroll in on the map like this, get about as close to detail as you want to get. And now you can see all the various prices. So you can see you can pay anywhere from $60 to $118. That's a pretty wide variation. So then you can start exploring them. And if you click on one right here, like that one, it'll pull it up here. Oh, it didn't pull it up here. And I was looking to see if it pulled up on the left. If I click on that one, this is a hotel room in Siena. So interesting that they've got hotels on here. I'm just giving you a quick brief overview. This is how, because we're going to do a whole class on how to use Airbnb, but it's a very great way to find lodging. Any more questions, brief questions about Airbnb? I think the most important thing I want you to know today is you need to, if you're not a member, you need to create a profile, because that host has to accept you. And so there's two ways to look at this. One is to look at the point of view from being a guest who wants to stay somewhere. Okay. The other one is to look at the place, and you go down here and you can see who the host is. Entire apartment hosted by Daniela Ichiara. Okay. So then you can click on her and you can find out more about Daniela down here. She is a super host. That's their designation for me. She's done a lot of people. You can check her, what people have said about her. And there's 111 reviews, so you can start reading those reviews. You can contact her with a question, probably would say like there's some limitation there, there's cat hair in the place. I'm just giving you an example. Oh, I'm allergic to cats. Make sure I don't stay in a place. That might not be in the anywhere in the information. But if you're somebody that has a severe allergy like that, for example, you might want to contact the host ahead of time. Say, hey, you look great. I want to stay in your place. I'm allergic to cats. Any problem there? That's an example where you might want to contact the host ahead of time. So that's why it's I call it a kind of a hybrid social media, because they can read about you. You are reviewed by people you stay with, and they are reviewed by people that stay with them. The good news is in that reviewing process, it's weighted in favor of the guest. So the guests get to review the host first. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, what I mean is you can't kind of retaliate with your reviews, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I think that the host will review the guest first, and then the guest kind of gets the last word. That's what I meant to say. And I've had a few little problems with some hosts, nothing major, and I'll explain that later. But just beware when we do the class, I'll explain more about how to do reviews and use them.
Russ, I think it's kind of a deal where it's set up where you can't see each other. In other words, you can't see each other's review until after both of them are in.
Yes.
And then if there's one of the guys said something you didn't like, then you can say something.
You can get some arbitration.
It's set up exactly so that, if the host said this guest was a pig, she left the place in a mess, then the guest can't write back and go, well, the host was an absolute blah, 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 and to where just an ugly food fight happens.
Yep. And they try to avoid that. And that's why I always look down the reviews to see whether they were just like stock reviews that somebody just threw into everybody. Like, great place, I enjoyed it, thanks. So they're staying there. To more detailed, like, this is why I liked it. Let me move on to another. Let me just show you booking.com because I use it a lot. And because I'm gonna sign in with my membership, and it knows me, and so it also lists the places that I've been. So if I want a history, I can go into my look at that. I'm a genius level 2. I forget what that means. It just means I've used them quite a bit, and they do offer me discounts, by the way, which is nice. I like that. What I like about let's do the same thing. We're going to Siena. Yep, in Tuscany. That's where I want to go in. Let's pick the same dates here. Let's do September 21st through 24th. I'm going to go with 2 adults. We're going to hit search. And now it just gives me a little pop-up. We're going to ignore the pop-up. 275 properties found. And there's all the different ways you can sort it up here. And you can decide what you want to be first, like distance from downtown, star ratings. You should be able to you can go over here on the left and you can limit your price, and you can put in other parameters. So you can say, I only want something between $60 and $120. And now it's just going to give you that listing. So the number one that came up, which is because this is 3 days. Remember, this total over here is this is what gets a little confusing. This is per night. And over here, this is like for the total stay. And also you have to watch out for whether it was something featured or whether it came up because of some other reason why you searched. So you can there's Albergo Ciuzzarelli. So, or Hotel Executive. Here are your prices. Some other stuff that I like looking at, like, is there a breakfast included? Is there a free cancellation? I'm a free cancellation person because travel reservations cause me some anxiety. Like, what if I change my mind? What if something happens? Oh no, I've just booked a place for $300. I can't cancel the reservation. So personally, I like the cancellation, free cancellation. You often pay a little bit more for that. Personally, I pay for some peace of mind. I don't know why. I wonder for other people, travel, it causes people anxiety. I think there's several reasons about it. One is the cost. The second one is the uncertainty of it. And the third thing is you're just sometimes you're getting out of your comfort zone, which is why you want to travel, but you're getting out of your comfort zone. And so I like making travel reservations on airlines even harder for me, though they've now made it easier, allowing you to cancel and change your plans. We'll see how long that lasts. Anyway, here are all the things you can do. Again, you can also see all these things on a map. I like Booking.com. They know me well. They make good they make good suggestions to me. I like to go in here. I click on, let's do the hotel executive, because they have free cancellation, no prepayment needed. I like that too. The no prepayment part. Again, you might pay extra for a prepayment. And then you scroll down here. Here are the most popular amenities. It tells you more detail. This is where you get in the nitty gritty. So this is a double or twin room that I'm looking at for $248 for 3 nights. And here's some interesting information. In our courtyard view, it has air conditioning, has an attached bathroom, flat screen TV, which would matter to me. Free Wi-Fi, that's a nice one. I like to look for that. And you'll notice that there are different types of there are different levels of reservations all within this hotel for similar rooms. So this one has this is a non-refundable. So very good breakfast for $8. That's actually a good price. And often, in Europe, some of these hotels serve really good buffet breakfast. So go for it. You might find a review about that. Then you can go down here. Here's one with a free cancellation, no prepayment. So you can see $248 versus $263. It says superior double or twin room. These are probably the same rooms. And what you're paying the difference for here is the, well, look here. One is the breakfast. So that's built into this price. So you're paying a few dollars a night for the ability to cancel. I would go for it. I'm a cancellation person. That gives me the flexibility. If I've made all these plans and I want to change them in the future, let's say I get there on the ground, I discover, oh, you know what? That other hotel over there is much better. That's right near the train station or whatever. I have flexibility to change my mind later. That's my personal preference. That difference in price of looks like $15, half of that is the breakfast. So $7 for cancellation. That's worth it to me. That's just me. Any more questions about booking.com? It's a really good idea to get a membership there.
I've always heard that booking.com and Trivago and all that are great sites to search, but not to book, that unless it's the only way to book, that you're much better and actually you can get better deals if after you find it's like, oh, I like that such and such, if you find their website and then deal with them directly, because then you're canceling directly with them, and you're also and they prefer it because they're not having to pay booking.com a cut.
That's a way to use it, Melinda. That I agree. That's a way to use. You can use it as a way to find the price. The downside of it is then now you have to start dealing with all these different vendors. So it really depends. If you're going to go somewhere and stay for 2 weeks, I think your suggestion is really good. Use them to find the price, and then you can book directly. When I went to Italy, and I'll be sharing more about the walk to Assisi later this week. Some of you have been with me in that little journey. We had different lodging every night. And so I like booking.com because it just had every single different place I stayed at. Good suggestion, Melinda. It really depends on.
I'm curious, like you've got genius level. Do you have a special membership because you're a travel guy, or because you've booked with them so many times? Or
I think because I've used them a lot, they've bumped me up to this level. And I actually think in my case, I don't find a better rate at the hotel. But I haven't checked because, again, it's the way I use booking.com. Here's another example. And this is one of my top 10 travel tips, is that often very cheap flights, and these are especially for international travel, but it's also nationally. Often there's very cheap flights early in the morning, like a 6 or 7 a.m. flight. And a strategy my wife and I have adopted going both ways traveling is to, if that early morning flight is indeed cheaper, we'll go to a hotel the night before that has a shuttle. And sometimes even some of the hotels near Dulles Airport, where I travel from, will allow you to park free or at a steep discount for a number of nights if you stay in the hotel one night. So it's another strategy. You have to just add up all the costs, but we've done this on early morning flights. You usually don't catch early morning flights overseas. There's the rare U.S. Washington to London flight, which United used to have, was an example. But otherwise, when we're flying to the other coast, we might catch an early flight. Booking.com is where I would often find the hotel, just for ease. So
Russ, I have one other comment about that also, if you have time for it.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Another way in which it might be useful, like a site like booking.com, is a few years ago, I was going on a small ship cruise, and I wanted to go a day early, just sort of get myself acclimated to the time zone. And when I went directly to the hotel site, they had no rooms available. But I went to booking.com, and they had rooms available in that hotel where the cruise, like I say, it was a small ship, so it was a small group where they were meeting. And so I could get a booking that way, because some of these companies like booking.com will buy rooms from the hotel, and you may not be able to get one directly, but if you go to a site like this, you might be able to get one that you want. And that's only, that particular circumstance.
That's a good insight. That's a good insight.
I've also seen the opposite happen when booking says only 2 rooms left. And you think, oh my gosh. And then but you go to the site and it's like, no, only booking.com. We've only allotted 2 to booking.com, but we've got plenty. So it can work.
Right.
Well, that's all. Those are all good suggestions. I'm going to move on a little bit here because I want to get to using my phone just to show you some of these things. I bring this up as a suggestion. Whoops, it pulled me back from that. Is Scott's Cheap Flights is something I subscribe to. It's $49 a year. That isn't Scott's Cheap Flights. That's Scott's Cheap Flights. There we go. It's a $49 a year subscription. I've had it now for 2 years. I'm deciding whether to keep it for a third year or not. But they send me an email every day telling me about some good flight deals. So, and sometimes they're what they call accidental airline prices, like United accidentally priced that flight to London for $349 and it's advertised, and they're probably going to catch it by tomorrow. Act today, you can catch those. Some of them are just like the airlines have dropped prices. So Scott, this guy, is always scouting around for these deals. So it's a good, if you're not locked to go in a certain place and you got like maybe 10 places you might want to travel. I'd like to go to the Bahamas, or I want to go to Newfoundland, or I want to go to Romania, or I want to, it's you wide open for suggestions.
Those aren't scams, because I've thought that those were scams when you see it. Like they always say, it's too good to be true.
Well, this is Scott's. No, so this is the thing about Scott's. You pay to get the best information. It means you're a member. So he is someone who has curating it. He's selecting the right, accurate. No, good point about scams. That's why I feel I can trust him for flights on deals, and because often he's pulling up stuff that are directly from the airline websites. Now, I'm like, oh, I didn't read that till 24 hours, and I'm 24 hours too late on a flight. But it can also get you thinking. I have it. $49 a year is only like $4 or $5 a month for and often enough he pulls up destinations that I am interested in going to. They may not be right when I'm thinking of going there, but many of us who are older have more flexible schedules. And when I was younger and working at a job and I had to take my vacation, in August or whenever, I didn't have much flexibility. So when you get older, you have more flexibility. It's like I can travel in October, November. I can travel in March or April, and I don't mind going to this place at that time. So Scott's, you can sign up for. I was trying to find let's see if I can find my email. Well, I won't show you anyway. It's too. I'd have to dig through a whole bunch of emails to find it. But Scott's is a good resource. Again, you sign up. They do have a free service, very limited stuff they tell you. And if you get into, if you become a member, you'll get a daily email. Sometimes you might even get one twice a day. So be prepared. Maybe you want to channel those into, if you have a Gmail, you want to channel them into a certain folder. But maybe you want to have them pop up in front of you every day. I forget where. I notice it every morning when I open my email, what Scott's Cheap Flights were, and they're very useful. I haven't taken any of the flights in the last year. Who did? But they're useful for getting information. The last one I'm going to show you before I jump over to the phone is just my other go-to place is Orbitz. And a lot of these online reservation systems are very similar to each other. So I'm not necessarily saying one over the other, but I become very familiar with how they work. And they also, like Orbitz, which is similar, you can get Priceline, and Priceline operates a little differently. Expedia, there's different ones that function much the same way. And the nice thing about Orbitz is you can get a flight, a car, you can get a hotel, all in one one stop. Because it'll say, you're going such and such. Do you need a hotel for 3 nights? And if you've already done your planning and you don't, you can ignore it. But let's go in and let's do that same flight to Siena. We're going to Tuscany, and we're going to go. I'm going to say for 2 weeks in September. We want to be there. We're going to leave on the 20th, the day before, and we're going to stay until 2 weeks. We're going to stay until that. So I click on it and I say search. I wanted flights. See, that's where I made a mistake. Okay, I bet because I got to tell where I'm leaving from. So I'm going to say IAD, which is Washington Dulles Airport. And okay, it's got the same dates. I can add a car, add a place to stay down here if I want to. Right now, I just want to check flights. So Orbitz, like many other sites, is what I call is a flight or information aggregator. They're going out and they're scouring and finding information for you. Now, I often don't make my flight reservations with Orbit. You can, but I tend to go to the airline then where I have memberships and make them. Be aware, Southwestern is not on there, and they are a very reputable, mostly for domestic. I think they're strictly domestic. I'm not sure if Southwestern's even got a flight that goes out of the country.
They're going down to the
Islands
Caribbean now.
They're going where, Melinda?
Mexico.
To the Caribbean.
Okay. So this gives you, you can see already, it's telling me the cheapest flights on American Airlines for $1,054. I'll show you another way you can check for this that's better than this, but it just gives me an idea. I can select that. Orbitz will give you a chance where you can do multiple airlines. So you can fly over with one, fly back with another. But I tend to then go look for the one that I know is that I want to use. So like Delta is where I have a membership, so I might choose Delta. It's funny. If you look down here, their Delta flight operated by Alitalia. Here's the flight down here by Alitalia. That's what it is. And for some reason that I can't explain, is a little more expensive if you reserve it through Alitalia. I don't know why, like $1 more. But Delta uses Alitalia going to Italy. We'll give you all the information here. So I'll often use it to get flight information, to pick the place. Then I might go to the airline and then make my reservation on the airline directly. They will pass that information along to your airline. So I have in my membership. So if I have to log in up here, account, I need to sign in. It knows me. I'm just going to sign in with my Gmail address. It knows me, and it has my frequent flyer miles numbers stored. And so it will put that in, it'll forward it to the airline. So anyway, just a nice aggregator of information. There are others similar to this. One of our experienced travelers likes Google Flights. They're probably doing the same thing. I haven't used Google Flights, but they're probably one that can be recommended. Now I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to show you my phone. Because this is where I do a lot of my work still. Okay. All right. Now we'll put it. So everybody seeing my phone? You see a teenage kid staring at the Alps? That's my son. Okay. So I'll log in here, and I have a whole folder of apps that are called travel. Okay. And you can get an idea what I've got here. So you can see booking.com is on there. Okay. So that's the same one. So what's nice is if I find a laptop a bit easier to work on when I've got to do typing and moving stuff around. But now let's say I had gone and made some reservations with booking.com, it's all here. So booking.com will have my reservations for me. And I'll flip through some of the apps that I use here in 1 second and show you some of them. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of some of the ones that I mentioned before. So Airbnb again is up here, and I often do communication with hosts through my phone because I'm on the road. So there's booking.com. While I'm traveling, hey, where do I like to stop? Panera Bread's one of my places. Starbucks, I got a membership there and there. Orbitz is on the phone as well. When I was mentioning Deutsche Bahn, so I have an app. It's the German app, and I have taken the train in Germany, and I can make reservations and keep my travel tickets on Deutsche Bahn. You can also do it. I don't think I have the app on my phone at the moment, but I've used one for ScotRail. I've got one for British Rail. It's not British Rail. It's Virgin. There's different apps you can get. So when I've traveled in the UK, you can do the same thing in France. You can do the same thing in Spain. I'm pretty sure all of their national railroad lines have apps. So you can do reservations and keep track of your information on there. You can see I've also got Amtrak. There's Delta. By the way, this little cloud thing means it's not actively on my phone at the moment. It's in the cloud. I can pull it down. Just be careful if you're going traveling somewhere. Make sure while you're in Wi-Fi, you get your apps on your phone. I've got an iPhone. It is fortunately for me, giving me some extra storage space by taking some of the apps I don't use very much off my phone. I'm going to just show you here one that
You don't have Rick Steves app there.
No, I don't. I do have some of Rick Steves' guides though in my books. This is something called Hopper. I'm going to close this again. Show you. See a little bunny. This is a site that I've shown people that I really like. This is where what I use for planning in the future. So you can get flights, cars, hotels, homes. I use it almost strictly for flights because that's where everything starts, is with a flight. No point on checking for good prices on hotels or rental cars if I am not there.
How did you get there? I mean, I didn't see it how you got to that.
I'll show you again. So this is on my phone. This is my folder of travel apps. And one of them, this little guy with a little bunny that's red, is Hopper. So you just go to the app store. It's a free app you can get on your phone. And Hopper has been known to be the best flight price predictor out there. They've got a certain algorithm that they figured stuff out. It's kind of like the secret sauce. No one knows what it is, but they are pretty accurate. So here, I'll show you what I've done with it. I've got a whole bunch of flights I've searched for. All right. So I scroll down in the app, you can see these are all flights I'm watching, and I'll show you in a second how I watch a flight. And this is one right now that I'm planning on taking next. We've had some discussion about getting to Maine to see my grandson and my son and daughter-in-law. Washington, D.C. to Portland. I happen to know that there is a direct flight there that United operates. And I've got the dates I want to go in June 3rd through June 7th. And you'll notice right up here, the phone is telling me to wait. Okay. However, if I click on it, Hopper will go out. The little bunny will start running, and that bunny will find for me the best price. So while it's fetching, we'll just sit here and wait. This is what it does. It kind of goes out and it's looking for the best price. Taking a pretty long time. It hasn't looked for this price for me. There it is. It's telling me right now the best price is $267 per traveler. It's down $10. You can see that right here. It says was $277. 2 weeks ago, though, it was only $207, so the price went up. And it's telling me right here, you should keep watching this trip. You will be notified when deals are available. So when the price drops, it will notify me, and I'll get a little ping on my phone, and the app will say, I think that's the best price you're going to get. Go for it. Okay. So right here, and if I am wanting to know a little more information, it says until May 6th, prices will vary, dropping as low as $171. Wow. How does it know that? And then it says after May 7th, the price is going to start going up. So it's telling me what to do here. And it just says I should keep watching this trip. Okay. So that's how I use Hopper. Now let's say
What about that money where they charge you to freeze a price or something?
Yes.
Is that through Hopper?
Yes, Hopper will freeze a price for you. So if you're like, gosh, that's a good price, but I'm not sure I can do it. There's a fee. It's not real high. I want to say it's $10, $15. Hopper will freeze that price for you. I like that. I have used it. When we were like, I think we might go take this trip next year. Wow, Hopper just told us that the price is good. Let's hold that price and then think about it. And you usually have two options. I think there's a 24-hour freeze and maybe a 72-hour freeze. You pay a little more. But let's say I want to just check that flight to Siena. So we'll poke Siena in there. Siena. It does Siena. Oops.
Two ends.
Siena.
Siena's two ends, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
No, it's one in.
I think it's one in, and I'm not sure why Hopper's not liking that. Tell you what, we're going to back up. We're going to put in Rome because I'm going to have to go through. Why don't we fly through? Let's just fly to Rome. We'll take the train. That's a good suggestion. So you can see what I did. I put in there the filters. Now it's going to give me a chance to check my flight dates. But look what's on here. You've got green, orange, or green, amber, orange, and red. The green are the best prices. So you can see in May and June, the prices are mostly orange and red. And then getting off into July and August and September, they're green. However, look at that. The difference is only $30 a ticket. So it's not like it's $200 a ticket. So I can go in and choose a date. So let's say what was that date? September 21st. Oh, that's a green date. I like that. To go out, and I'm going to come back on the 5th. Okay, so I hit select these dates. See down here in the bottom, I've got a blue thing. Doing all this on my phone, by the way. Select those dates. Now I get the bunny. He's hopping again. He's going to figure out some good prices for me.
But he's so cute.
He is kind of cute. He's running. He's a busy bunny. He's got to stop and eat some well, he doesn't eat dandelions. I wish he would. He's stopping and eating something that I don't want him to eat. $510 is my lowest price. So it says you are watching this trip. You will be notified when deals are available or prices start to rise. So I can click on watching down here on that. Watch this trip. Now it's being watched or not. Oh, someone asked me about the price freeze. There you go. Price freeze 14 days for $40. That's actually a good deal. For $40 to freeze the price, especially when the flight's only $510 to go to Rome from Washington. Gosh, as my mother used to say, I can't afford not to do that. So anyway, here's example. And so I can watch it, and then it'll be put into my watch trips, and Hopper will notify me when something significant happens, like that price just dropped. Now, personally, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking that's a pretty good darn price. I think I'll pick it. You can just make your reservation now. You can do it through Hopper, or you can click on view the flights, and they'll tell you, oh, that best price was United Economy. And it has one stop. You can also do Delta Basic Economy, one stop. So it looks like their flights with those cheap flights prices are through Charles de Gaulle Airport, except for this one says one stop YUL. Never heard of that. I'm not sure what that is. If you want a nonstop flight, I'm gonna have to scroll way down to find a nonstop because that must have been a victim of the pandemic. There used to be a nonstop from Dulles to Rome, and it looks like it's gone away. So that's Hopper. That's one I wanted to show you all because that's one I like to use a lot. Global Convert is one I recommend. This is a free app that you put on your phone if you're traveling anywhere in the world, because we're the only country that doesn't use the metric system exclusively. And I also recommend to people, if you are thinking of traveling somewhere, also spend some time learning a little bit of metric system so you got an idea before you go what you're going to get yourself into. You'll look at the thermometer and it'll say like this, 21 degrees, and you go, I don't know, is that good or bad? Well, you can see it says 21 Celsius is 69.8 Fahrenheit. Actually, 21 Celsius is a really good temperature, in my opinion. I love it. Perfect. You can change it to all sorts of different things. I can go down and say, now I've got a bunch of favorites here at the bottom. So I click on that, and I want to know whether what's the euro to the US dollar. Now it's changed to currency. What is €1 going to cost me? It's going to cost me $1.20. Wow, gone up. The last time I traveled to Europe, which has now been a while, it was like $1.07. So the euro's gone up. I think that makes sense. That may fluctuate. But if you're trying to figure out how much money you're going to need to travel somewhere for a day, this just helps you know what you're going to need. You can also do, let's do length right there. So a kilometer, 1 kilometer is 0.62 miles. You'll see everything in kilometers in Europe, really anywhere in the world. And there's a weird exception in England. We're not going to talk about that. But anywhere in the world, you're going to see kilometers. So learn that conversion. I walked across Spain 500 miles, but it was 800 kilometers. And the entire time I was there, I only thought about kilometers, not miles anymore. Very handy app. Convert, that's free. Another fun app. Let's see. I showed you some of I've got some Yelp is on here. I don't use Uber, but if I needed it was there. I've got a Southwest app. One other one I think is just fun. I'm going to show you this one just because for fun is this one called Altimeter. And we're not going to rate it. It tells me right now that I'm at 1470 feet where I am and rocking. And this gives me the exact GPS location and latitude and longitude. This is a free app, by the way. And oh, look, notice that little windy thing down there is telling me that there's a wind warning right there. Oh, if I were to go to NOAA, National Ocean Area Atmospheric Agency, would tell me that there's actually a wind force warning, I guess. But I also have saved locations to places I've been. And I like that because I like to know what's the farthest north I've been or what was the altitude of that mountain we climbed in Italy. When we were in Poggio Bastoni, what was it? Oh, it was 2,346 feet. No wonder we felt so tired when we got there. So this is just a fun app I like. I do like to know altitudes and also my latitude, longitude. You can see I've got a few pretty high places in here. This is the top of Montserrat above Bogota. Climbed up there, not from sea level. I think we started out at 9,000 feet. So that's a fun app to have, a free altimeter on your phone.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
Can you have a class on if you're handicapped, where the best way to travel and where to travel and how to travel?
I can. And in fact, we've got a class like that coming up next Tuesday on May 11th. We've got a guest coming to our class, Marjorie Turner Holmes, who is herself challenged. I think she was paralyzed and has regained the use of her side, but she can only walk maybe 2 miles. And she's going to talk to us about how she has figured out where she can take hikes. She's written books on hikes, easy hikes in Massachusetts. But that's a good place to start, Renee. And after that, because of your request, I think I'll also add a class on where to go if you have handicaps. So thank you for asking that.
Okay, thank you.
Check that class next Tuesday. I'll make sure that's in the class notes. We're about out of time. Was there any more question that anybody had that you were just burning to find the answer to before we say goodbye?
I was going to recommend, it's not an app. Well, it is, but I always found that before I go someplace to check the weather, I usually use Weather Channel, but you can go the month of June, say in Siena, and then you can pull up what the average was the year before, or what the actual temperatures were the year before. And then you can also pull up what's predicted for this year, which is quote the averages. And I usually print those out, and like even anymore, it's real yo-yo-y. So you'll find that Siena is not going to be an average. You think, oh, it's going to be an average of, like you said, 70 degrees, but then you might find, oh, it's going to range anything from 45 to 85. So you're going to have to know how to pack and layer for that. But
well, and one other thing you can do, Melinda, I didn't show you this, but now that you've mentioned that, I'm going to make sure I do this in the next class, is I have the built-in weather app that comes on my phone, the stock app, which is sort of an aggregator of weather apps anyway. Like there's Rockingham, Virginia, where I am. You can go in and you could set all the places you're planning on traveling to so that when you get,
Right.
the phone will default to tell you when you're there what the temperature is, but also it will give you an idea. if you're planning on going somewhere else the next day, what the temperature will be there. Thanks everybody for being here. We're about out of time, so it was a lot of fun. I'm kind of sorry we ran out of time, but you come back next time I do this class. It'll be a regular class, and check out the Airbnb class, which will give you more detail about how to do Airbnb, and check out Marjorie Turner Holmes' class next Tuesday evening, where she talks to us about how she's written her books and her challenges with overcoming being challenged when it walks. When she has to walk.
Put that in the notes?
I'll put that in the notes for you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and might see some of you later today.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.